You guys up and ready? All right, I hereby call the regular Board of Education meeting this May 17th, 2022 to order at 7:01 p.m. Could you please rise and join me in the pledge, which is, the flag is behind you. And Dr. Stolzer, could you please take roll?
Camardo?
Here.
Fiorito?
Here.
Friedland? Here. Grimpy?
Here.
Johnson? Here. Ronstadt?
He will be late.
Stolzer, here. We have a quorum.
Fantastic. First up is the consent agenda. Would anyone like anything removed or discussed? All right, hearing nothing, I hereby entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented in its entirety.
So moved.
Moved by Friedland, second by Fiorito.
Johnson?
Yes.
Grimpy?
Yes.
Camardo?
Yes.
Fiorito?
Yes.
Stolzer, yes. Friedland?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And we are up to RTEA comments. Robert, you have the floor.
On behalf of the RTA Executive Committee and the entire membership, I'd like to offer my thanks to the Board of Education for its continued support of us. I'd also like to let you know that your staff are honored to work for you, but exhausted and happy that that the summer is upcoming. But please note, too, that some of your staff will honorably serve you still over the summer. So thank you so much for all that you do for the community and to support us. We know that this is not a paid position, that you give your spare time to do this, and it's much appreciated by all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Mr. Ronstadt entered at 7:03. Is that not too bad? All right, visitors' comments. We welcome all residents to attend and participate in board meetings. In an effort to keep board meetings to a reasonable length, we ask visitors to make statements at the allotted visitor comment sections listed on the agenda. Please complete the visitor comment form. Submit the completed form to the clerk of the board or the board president, and the board president or representative will read the comment aloud. It is requested that the comments be kept to a reasonable length and no communication amongst the audience to be shared during visitor comment section. And there is also a second opportunity for visitors to comment in the second half of the meeting. Would anyone like to comment anything? All right, hearing none. That takes us to board communications. And I'll have a quick update. So we had our day with the dogs on Sunday, and we had a phenomenal turnout. 353 tickets were sold. We sold 343 back in 2019. So it was just a great turnout. There's a couple sprinkles, but other than that, there was a fight at the bat rack because it was, I think they won 13-0. It was a great game. So, but thanks to everybody who came out, and I hope you guys had as much fun as I had. I had enough popcorn to last me a couple weeks, but bottomless popcorn, I'm taking them. That's not an option. That's that's a goal. So, anybody else?
Let me get this on. I'd like to recognize the music teachers. We concluded our season this year last night. I can only say, since I was pretty much at every concert, Mr. Kuzmanoff, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Flowers do a phenomenal job. We are very blessed to have three really great musical, talented teachers. And actually, the number is at 5. I'd be remiss if I didn't also reach out to Ms. Thompson and Ms. Van Eck, who are also outstanding. As the Music Boosters, we, as a group, decided that looking at our charter, it's the River Trails Music Boosters Association. It's not the River Trails Middle School Boosters Association. So next year, we are going to be working hard with Megan Thompson and Katie Van Eck to make sure that their groups are taken care of. I know their budgets are a little tight, and the Music Booster certainly helps our middle school teachers out, and we feel it's important to make sure that we help them out as well, because it's their kids that eventually come to this middle school, and the more musical experience they get, the better our performing arts are at the middle school. So the Music Boosters is a very strong organization made up of a lot of people, and we're hoping that we can get Prairie Trails parents, Indian Grove parents, and Euclid parents to be part of our group and make it stronger. That's it.
Anybody else? Okay, then we are going to do our district recognition for Letters for Literature. If Ms. Ritchie and Casella could join me.
I don't know. I think it's on. All right. So thanks for having us here tonight. Hi, Clyde. If you come on in. I'm Jennifer Ritchie. I'm 7th grade AELA teacher. This is Melissa Casella. She filled in for me while I was on my medical leave this year. Letters About Literature program has been around for a lot of years. It used to be part of the Library of Congress program, and it was run at the national level with a lot of funding cuts. The program was moved to the state level about 4 years ago. Prior to my taking over the AELA program, Mrs. Skolko ran the program, and participants here would participate with the national program, and I've continued it. Letters About Literature is now sponsored by the Illinois Secretary of State, State Librarian Jesse White, and the Illinois Center for the Book, which is essentially our state library. It's a strange name. So Letters About Literature, students grades 4 to 12 are invited to read a book of their choice, reflect on it, write a personal letter to the author explaining the impact this work has had on them, and students can either enter individually or through the school. And we have the 3 writing levels that are based on students' grade in school. Ours is 7th grade. And there's 1 winning letter selected, and then our runners-up and honorable mentions receive certificates, which is what we have tonight. I was lucky enough when I was gone to have an excellent fill-in. Ms. Casella filled in, and she was actually the one who guided our kids, along with our librarian, Ms. Milos, to guide the kids through the program. So,
Yes.
want to speak to that?
Oh, sure. All right. So early in November, the students were introduced to the concept that books influence our perception. Books make you think, books that make you feel. They explored the relationship between themselves and a book they had read. Students were to persuade, support, and share reflectively with their heart and feelings. And they worked on writing an informative letter to the author as a specific purpose to explain and describe their personal reader response to the work. And grammar and structure were considered while they focused on a personal reflection and impact of the book they chose. So here we have
The students that were honored, we have Basil John, who was honored as an honorable mention. Want to come up? Here's
Come
your
up.
certificate. Congratulations. And we have Sabine Yee. And also an honorable mention, Sabine was. And then Calliope Epstein-Pollock was actually a semifinalist. So she's. then not here with us this evening was Amelia Makowski, and she was an honorable mention as well.
Yep.
So,
Thank you again.
thank you.
Yeah. Am I there?
Nice job.
Congratulations.
Feel free to grab a cupcake. You guys are not obligated to stay, so don't think that you have to. We do have refreshments in the back, so please feel free to grab one on your way out whenever you decide to leave. But you are welcome to stay, but you certainly don't have to. Oh, okay. Could you guys tell us what books that you read and wrote to, or author that you wrote to?
Great.
I read The Savvy by Ingrid Law. I read Dress Coded by Carrie Firestone.
Nice job. Thank you for representing us so well. All right. Again, you guys are not obligated to stay, but for our stomach's sakes, you're welcome to take a cupcake on your way out. And that brings us to new business.
All right, good evening. So Prairie Trail School has requested an audiovisual system for the multi-purpose room. This system would consist of an automatic projection screen on the east wall, large projector, 2 speakers, 2 microphones, and receivers. The AV system will not only be utilized on a daily basis by our physical education teacher, as well as at lunch, but it'll also be utilized during special events during the year. This last year, just as an example, we hosted many events at Prairie Trail's multi-purpose room, including the Innovation Symposium, a couple board meetings, community engagement, multicultural family night, kindergarten registration, and then the Board of Education, RTEA, and administration meet and greet. At this time, Beth Foss-Miller, our current PE teacher at Prairie Trails, would like to share some of the reasons why she believes this system would benefit the students at the school.
Hi. Sorry. So right now, we currently have a TV on a cart, which Matt was so nice to get for us. But as you know, with little kids, anything with a sharp edge is dangerous, and it is on a sharp edge. A big giant TV screen is a target. They love to aim for it, even though it's all the way on the edge of the gym. And even with the pre-K in there, like I can't pre-set up my computer because they'll come in and they'll mess it up. In fact, they've done some things where I couldn't get my screen to come back. And we also have just a portable speaker that I purchased with my budget money. So it's not ideal, no microphone at all. So a microphone would be fantastic because as you know, the room is beautiful. It has all those sound buffers and everything, but it doesn't let my voice carry in there. And it's really hard for the kids to hear me without me having to shout. And I was telling Matt, I'm like, I've had laryngitis twice this year. It's much different going from a small classroom where I can speak in reasonable tone and then out to a gym to try and engage all the kids and have them hear me with all the directions and everything that we're doing in there. So a microphone would be fantastic. The speakers would be an added bonus because, like I said, right now I have just a portable speaker that I use that I connect my phone to for Bluetooth. The projector would be fabulous because every single day I use this TV. The kids are so motivated with the YouTube warm-ups. A lot of times I like to integrate the technology. It's just unfortunately on the smaller screen. I use video demonstrations. Also, it would be great if I could project the class rules on a daily basis so they could be reinforced. I could also have my I can statements with pictures. I just feel like the more that I can do with the technology integration in gym will only enhance what we're already doing. Like, for example, like this is a screen that I made for a dance that we were doing. And then I have the words for them to read and pictures for them to look at. And unfortunately, it doesn't project big because the screen is, very small and flat. So it's something that I would have to, in the middle of it, scroll it down for them all to see. So a projector would be fantastic. And again, it would be something we would use all day, every day. And just the other day with Megan Thompson setting up for our music show, she had to bring over all the big speakers on the stands and the microphone and this big black box that I'm sure Bob knows what that is. I don't know what it is. But all that stuff had to be transported over from Euclid, so it would be really wonderful for other things besides just PE, that they could take advantage of the AV equipment in the gym as well. So there's just so many benefits, but it would be, my husband doesn't mind when I get laryngitis, but I don't particularly, so a microphone would be fantastic, since I'm such a natural. Yeah, sure.
I also reached out to a couple of the PE teachers at Euclid, so they have a similar system at Euclid and Indian Grove, and just to share a little bit about how they're using their system and how it's benefiting the students. So a lot of what Beth said, due to large classes, the audio system helps them conduct class without having to raise their voice, lose their voice, as well as provide easy access to music for that added motivation for student learning. The video projection system offers the ability to present different instructional slides, like their ICANN statements, their learning objectives, rules, activity instructions, and visual representation to reinforce the demonstrations that are happening. And the students really respond well to this different type of media in that space. When the students enter the gym, they see the rules, they see the ICANN statements, and they know exactly what to get started with. And it's really brought their teaching, they said, to a whole new level. So, that being said, I did receive 3 proposals for the AV system, and including install, and I'm recommending that we purchase the system from Luma. It is significantly cheaper. It is an adequate and I think a great system, and the cost is budgeted out of the FY23 tech budget. So it's already something that I budgeted for. This was a request that came to me at the beginning of this year, actually. So like I said, we've made do with temporary, but I think it's something that not only Beth would utilize, but we'd utilize as a community. Any questions?
Thank you for answering my many questions over email.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, if I jump in just to
Sure.
talk a little about
Please,
the budget.
Please.
So over the past couple of board meetings, we've talked a little bit about expenses and spending, and I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to address a few of those things. So budgeting really starts January, February, when we come and start talking about staffing, because that's, of course, the biggest piece of our budget. Before spring break is when our principals, our different departments need to have their draft budgets into Lindell. And we start with zero-based budgets. Lindell's like, nope, you're not getting what you got last year. What do you need to do your work this year? And we base them on the needs of the school, the needs of the district, the strategic plan, and meeting the needs of our kids in our community. And each year we have a balanced budget. And as long as I've been here, we've actually come up with extra. We haven't spent everything. Lindell builds in contingency money because you never know what's going to happen, but we always wind up with extra that we put into our reserves to spend on other things. And that's happened even longer than I've been there. In terms of budgeting, I know that this is something Lindell's going to talk about with the Finance Committee. The board could say, okay, administrative team, we'd like you to cut, pick a percentage number, 1%, 3%, or we'd like you to cut $1 million from your budget. And we are very happy to do that. But please know, when we do bring to you something like this, Christy's going to talk about math workbooks. These are things that we've budgeted for based on the district priorities. And we do welcome your questions, and we can help answer some of those things. But that might give you a little more feeling of, this has gone way back even a couple of months already. And it's based on the needs of our kids. So just thought I'd throw that in there this evening. So,
Sure.
Any questions for?
I just had one more thing I wanted to
Nope,
add. So
go
I know,
ahead.
Robert, you responded about the screen, and I did want to respond because I didn't do that through email. So the screen that is part of this install does have a 4-foot drop. So it will make it lower for those learners because they are smaller, and we want to make sure that they don't have to crank their neck to see the screen. It's also these projectors now are laser projectors, and so a lot of the screens are not made from this white material anymore. It's this special progressive material that actually makes the picture much better. So we could go with a cheaper screen, but the picture, we're going to lose all that quality, and we're actually not going to really benefit from the quality of the projector that's in there. We have a tensioned projector, which means on screen. So on the sides, there's metal pieces. So we'll make it more durable as well as hold up over time. And, there are options of going with cheaper. So if that's something that we need to do, we can, but I do think this quality of projection screen is the best. The prices haven't gone up in the last couple of years due to many reasons with supply chain. So it's just kind of where we're at with the price on that one. So.
Any other questions? Okay. Can I get a motion and a second to purchase the Prairie Trails Gym AV system from Luma at a cost not to exceed $24,372?
So moved.
Moved by Fiorito,
Second.
second by Friedland.
Camardo.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Friedland.
Yes.
Grimpy.
Yes.
Ronstadt.
No.
Stolzer, yes. Motion carries.
All right. We are up to curriculum renewal. Christy, you are up.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm here tonight just to talk to you about some math workbook purchases for our elementary school. At the beginning of the school year, I would have thought I would have been here asking for a much larger purchase for math workbooks. However, as we've talked about at great detail at the curriculum committee, we have gone slower with our math audit and our pilot process. So we are not ready to make a recommendation for a full math adoption next school year. For that reason, I am asking for a 1-year continuation of workbooks from HMH Publishers for our elementary math workbooks. This does come at a slight decrease from last year's budgeted amount for math workbooks, and the reason for that is because the classrooms that will be piloting the 2 curriculum series next year are not part of this workbook purchase. They will not require these workbooks. I did work with the publisher. Initially, the quote came in 10% higher than last year in terms of the per workbook cost. I was able to negotiate it back to the original price that we paid last year due to the fact that we have been a continued customer with them for multiple years, and we still do have a multi-year contract with HMH for our middle school ELA curriculum and workbooks. So I am asking the board to approve purchases in the amounts listed in your board packet for our math workbooks for our elementary students.
Anybody have any questions for her?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to kind of extend the explanation. The reason that when we were in the curriculum committee that we're holding off and we're going a little slower through the audit is COVID impact. So just seeing how these pilot programs are going to work out. So I just wanted to back you up on that it was a good decision by the staff and by Christy and the leadership to hold off for right now because there's just there are too many moving pieces. So just wanted to provide that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Friedland. Anybody else? All right, can I get a motion and a second to approve the purchase of HMHC at the cost for all schools not to exceed $27,190.51, which is broken out to Indian Grove School, $12,494.47, Euclid School, $10,407.29, and Prairie Trail School at $4,288.75.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Friedland, second by Stolzer.
Ronstadt.
Yes.
Friedland.
Yes.
Grimpy. Sorry. That's okay. I heard you. Grimpy.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Stolzer, yes. Johnson.
Yes. Yes.
Camardo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, business services. Lyndall, you are up. First up is the 2022 River Trails Middle School repaving construction manager fee.
Okay, so as we have discussed at the last several meetings, we have been granted a partnership with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District for a green infrastructure project, the permeable paver parking lot and rain gardens at River Trails Middle School. The bids were approved at the April 26th board meeting. We are recommending that we continue with Nicholas and Associates as our construction manager. We've been doing that since 2015. We've had very good results with them. Projects have been coming in on time and under budget. Nicholas also provides us with a benefit that they give us a $10,000 donation, basically deduct $10,000 from each project, which was part of our QZAB loan. We were required to have a 10% charitable contribution on that, and they have continued doing that for every single project, this one included. So we are recommending that that we contract with Nicholas and Associates to provide construction management services for the RTMS permeable paving and rain garden project during the summer of 2022. The construction management fee is 4.5%. Liability insurance is 0.69% of construction costs. Then there are fixed general conditions at $65,400. And then with the deduction, that's a total of $137,117. And then there's an estimated $65,000 of other reimbursable costs that we will have to pay, things like fences, porta potties, testing, soil testing. It comes out of that. And this would also be contingent on MWRD signing that intergovernmental agreement, which they're supposed to bring it to their board on Thursday. That's it.
I have one question. I saw in my notes that I have from last time we discussed this that you were going to look into having this a part-time position.
Yes, this does include that, and this it was included at these prices in the last cost estimate we did at the April 26th meeting.
So this price is for a part-time?
Yeah,
Okay.
This is the price for the part-time, yes.
Thank you for clarifying. Anybody else? Okay, can I get a motion and a second to approve a contract with Nicholas and Associates to provide construction management services for the RTMS permeable paving and rain garden project during the summer of 2022 with a construction management fee of 4.5% and liability insurance of 0.69% of construction costs. The fixed general conditions fee of $65,400 for a total of $137,117. In addition, Nicholas is estimating approximately $65,000 for reimbursement costs.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Fiorito, second by Camardo.
Friedland,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Stolzer, yes. Ronstadt,
Yes.
Camardo,
Yes.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Grimpy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next up is the Assistant Superintendent for Student Services salary discussion. That is you, Dr. Wagner.
It is me, and now I'm trying to figure out where, okay. Sometimes with quick view, it's hard to find things again. But I
Likely
found it.
story, come on.
So, we have the great opportunity to hire a new Assistant Superintendent for Student Services because Jody's moving into my office. And we've had the job posted. We have a few people, we've got a decent pool that's applied. I know they're starting interviews. It's later this week, isn't it? Oh my gosh, Thursday this week. They also have interviews next week. Because of the time of year, we'd like to move pretty quickly. And so getting a salary range ahead of time is very helpful. That way we don't have to wait and then bring that candidate to the board and do all that and have it be the middle of. Hoping we will have a candidate to bring you in the middle of June. And if we have a salary range, then we know that we'll have a viable candidate who will accept. We shared some of the area salaries. I can tell you that the lowest salary, the one in Mount Prospect District 57, we were just with that superintendent, and they believe that that salary is very far off. It had been an internal candidate that they brought in pretty low, but it's, she described it's out of whack with the rest of their administrator salaries. And her recommendation is that it's going to be significantly increased. But as you look at the rest of them, they're sort of all over the place. Typically, we bring someone in who's at that lower end, and that's why I'm recommending to have that flexibility in a range from about 120 to 130. If we have someone who's super way low and it would make sense to go below 120, we would. I just don't think, looking at the candidates, will give anybody that would be in that range.
Any questions?
Do we have anyone that's, you feel like 120 and 130 is accurate?
I do think that,
Great.
yeah,
Great.
Jody's back there too, she's been looking at them, yeah.
Great.
Any other questions?
I have comments, two of them, actually. First of all, I want to comment about the Superintendent of Student Services. So volunteering at Prairie Trails every day, I get a good look for, 1 hour of what the teachers and the teachers' assistants do with the special needs kids. And I, in my lifetime, would never want that job, because working at Prairie Trails just for the last 6 months, it really has opened my eyes to what a difficult job teachers have, and teachers' assistants, especially dealing with children and young adults that are special needs. I mean, it is really tough. Am I right, Janine? I mean, it really is mind-boggling of what, has to be done to help these kids out. So I see the job a lot differently. Even after sitting on the NSSU board for 8 years, it is really a tough job, being a teacher or even an assistant superintendent. So that's number one. Number two is I have a good friend who is having her second interview with Northbrook and the village of Glen Ellen. And she told me firsthand over the weekend that if D26 doesn't get their act together, they're going to miss out on a lot of good candidates. That a lot of districts right now are looking for a position specifically for special education director or assistant superintendent. So I think it behooves us tonight to make sure that we give a decent range so we find good candidates, because we have been cutting back with sending kids to NSSEO. That's apparent. And if we're keeping them in-house, we need to have the staff and the leadership to make sure that we give them the same quality education that the rest of the kids get in our district.
And not to sound silly, just remind me, we list all of this information in our job descriptions when we post them on Applitrack, right? No, just kidding.
No,
Nope.
I don't think we have the salary range in there, because it's been posted. So we say something like salary commensurate with experience and qualifications.
Okay, sorry.
I do want to say.
I know at some schools they.
Yeah. I think that it's very difficult. I also think, though, at this time of year, when you ask the teachers, our kids have made so much progress. When you think back to being out on that playground in the fall or in the winter, that's it's such a beautiful thing, especially with the littles. You get to see that much growth. But yes, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. I mean.
Anybody else? All right, can I get a motion and a second to approve the Assistant Superintendent Student Services salary range of $120,000 to $130,000 a year?
So moved.
Moved by Fiorito, second by Grimpy.
Grimpy.
Yes.
Stolzer, yes. Friedland.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Camardo.
Yes.
Ronstadt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, you are still up. Data Systems Coordinator.
And with this next position, same thing, although I know that Matt has already been interviewing, as we posted that a little bit earlier, as we knew that Nan put in her letter of resignation. She is helping us out till the middle of June. Yeah, the end of June, which will be really helpful. And I think that we've learned a lot. Having John in there for a very long time, who built John's systems, and then we've all tried to make them work in the same way. And we definitely need someone who not only is able to work with data and data systems, but we need someone who's able to communicate really well with all of us and understands education systems and how, so many of these things are repetitive year after year, but there are things that only happen once a year, and then we forget about them, and then we're trying to remember how to do them again. And so, in talking with Matt about what he believed we could get a qualified person in for, his recommendation was between 65 and 75, and it really depends on the kind of skills and experience that someone brings. And we really hope that we can get someone with an education background who knows some of those systems.
Can I ask you, Matt, if we don't find somebody that has educational experience, then what's the next step?
Well, I think we would fall on somebody who has the data background, which is our current data specialist, and it will just take a little bit more training and time to bring that person on board. I'm hopeful with the second round interviews I have scheduled this week and those candidates, and I think if we fall in this range, I think we could get a really good candidate for that position.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Is this a 10-month or a 12-month?
12.
Okay, thank you.
The only question I have is do you think that the position is open because of how difficult the system was from John's retirement?
I think there's many factors involved with the reason why the current data specialist decided to resign. And I think some of them were personal. So I don't think it had anything to do with the current systems. This person, Nan, has worked really tirelessly at automating the systems and around the clock learning them, but also making them better. So we're in a much better place now than we were.
That was going to be my next question.
Yep.
Appreciate covering that. Okay, that's all I had. Any other questions? Okey doke. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the data specialist coordinator salary range of $65,000 to $75,000 a year?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Friedland, second by Fiorito.
Grimpy,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Camardo,
Yes.
Stolzer, yes. Fiorito,
Yes.
Friedland,
Yes.
Ronstadt,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, committee reports. Curriculum Committee, Dr. Stolzer, you are the chair.
Again, I'm losing time, but we haven't given a committee report, have we? Okay, so as Christy alluded to, we did talk about math and just how going slow to go fast, taking some time. COVID, teachers have been busy working on things that aren't math curriculum. So trying to give them the time they need to work on the more pressing issues so that they can give piloting new curricula the time that it needs. So there are teachers who are piloting new math curricula, and some interesting things are coming to light, like maybe kindergarten will use a different math curriculum than the rest of the district, and how will that work? But so those are some things that they're trying out, but as she said, we thought maybe we'd be farther along, but everyone is perfectly fine where we are right now. Also, I had another thing. Thank you. And then ELA is we're all the curriculum committee. And then all similar things, just, moving along at different paces, slower than we might have moved along, but it's, we're there. And then the equity work and also acceleration, our accelerated programs, what do they look like? What do we want them to look like? And taking a look at those programs at the elementary schools and at the middle schools, and they've already kind of gotten rid of homerooms and what that changes it has made, and taking a look at how that's going to, how that is leading into taking a dive at what the numbers look like and what things are looking like moving forward and where we want them to be in terms of both equity and just numbers of kids and where kids are in those programs.
Yeah, the multilingual. Do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah. We did talk about multilingual programming and what that looks like and how Prairie Trails sort of changed the way that was in that you have to have certain numbers of kids to do that. And so while we might have had small cohorts of students that moved through programming and were receiving programming in their native language and then would basically graduate out into more English as they progressed out in typically like 3rd, 4th grade. It's now with Prairie Trails, because of our whole district coming together, the thresholds aren't being met in the same way. So we aren't having the same number of kids qualifying straight out of the gate in kindergarten that we would have. So we're having to rethink of how we want to meet those kids' needs and how we want to make sure that they are both growing their native language as well as growing their English language in both oral language and literacy. So I think we're trying to think about how we want to do that in a way that is both, like I said, meeting their needs in both languages and from the beginning. Does that seem adequate? Thank you.
All right, Policy Committee, Mrs. Friedland, you are the chair.
So we had our meeting tonight, just prior to this meeting. We discussed, we read over all of the policies that are suggested by the press report, but we discussed 3 of them in specific, one addressing the time for visitor comments. We are proposing, or no, we'll come back with this, won't we? Or is this going to be an action?
It'll be probably on
in the consent agenda? Okay, so then I will talk about it briefly. So we went into discussions about the limitations of time for visitor comments when we are working in a board meeting setting. Since it is a public meeting, we've decided to accept the 60 minutes of our maximum, what we are suggesting is that we accept the 60-minute maximum time frame for visitor comments, as opposed to what we had currently in our board policy for the 30-minute minimum. And then we talked about the anaphylactic response for allergic reactions and having undesignated EpiPens. Things that we are doing currently with our nursing staff and other trained individuals at the schools. Oh no, and see, now I'm forgetting the last thing.
Jury duty.
Jury duty. See, I knew it was something. I knew it was going to slip. And we are continuing with our regular, the jury duty policy that we currently have. Some of the language had been adjusted by ASB for designating certified and licensed staff, but we are keeping ours as we have it in our current contract, which covers all employees. And we are also not going to be taking their payment from the state because either $17.50 or $18 of it, $17.20, even better, is not.
Is barely adequate to cover parking or transportation to the.
Right, the costs of actually going downtown. Yes, so we are going to continue our policy.
Yeah, our policy is better.
The other item that was discussed, and you will all receive an email or have received an email, is the information that was added to Board Book this afternoon. I apologize, that was me. It's very late, so I don't expect anyone to have read it. But it's going to be the equity statement that we had talked about at our last meeting. I crafted some language, so please make sure you read the email that was sent and provide any feedback. It will be an agenda item on our June meeting, or at our June meeting. And that's all I have.
But that, I mean, that, I don't want that to be a consent agenda. I hope everybody agrees. That should be a regular action item. The inclusion statement, I'd like to have everyone have an opportunity to discuss it if they
That would,
so choose.
that will be fine, if,
Groovy.
yes.
But we're not rewriting it by board member though, are we? Like just discuss, but not editing right here?
Correct.
Okay, great.
I just want everybody to have an opportunity to discuss it, that's all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, President's Report, upcoming events. The Super Dog fundraiser started the 16th and goes to the 22nd for Indian Grove. Attaboy. We've got 8th grade graduation ceremony at Hershey. That is next week on the 25th. And then if you didn't fill up on hot dogs, you can always go to the Texas Roadhouse on May 26th for the River Trails Middle School fundraiser. May 27th, we've got the 5th grade ceremony is the Fly Up at Indian Grove and Euclid, right? That's what it's called? Soar Up?
I think it depends on the school.
My daughter missed it because of COVID, so she
went to middle school.
I threw her up, is what I did. May 27th is the last day of school. I'll pause while everybody at home cheers. And then June 14th is our next Board of Education meeting. That is the second Tuesday of the month, so please note that. And that is the President's Report. Next up is the Superintendent's Report. Dr. Wagner, and you have the floor.
All right. In my report, I share the current openings that we have for positions. We're doing pretty well. I think some of the areas that we've been struggling with all year, for example, custodians, we are now down, or at least by the end of this week, we will be down 3 custodial positions, and we do not have a lot of summer applications for summer custodial staff too. Hopefully, the increase in that starting salary that starts in July will help us. And hopefully, as we move along, we've reposted those positions, our teacher assistants for the fall and our lunch supervisors for the fall. And again, those all have increased starting salaries. So,
Can I ask, the kindergarten teacher at Prairie Trails, is that an additional position because of large number of kids, or we are losing a kindergarten teacher?
so one of our kindergarten teachers is moving to the ESL position. Oh, I'm sorry, the interventionist position, sorry. And so it's just doing her backfill.
Understood.
That's Mrs. Larson.
The only question I had was, have we put any thought to putting the custodial positions on the marquee like we did the subs? And now that we're going into summer and...
I think that's a fantastic idea. We're also...
It can only go down from here.
I do also want to say that what's not on here is we have some kitchen staff as well. Do I have kitchen? I don't have kitchen staff, and we were waiting till Kelly got here and got started, and I know that she and Lyndall have been talking, because if you were at the retirement ceremony, you would have seen that we had not just lunch supervisors, but kitchen staff as well. But that sounds like a great idea, because for a little while in the summer, we don't need as many substitutes. And so, yeah, getting some custodians in would be really great.
All right.
August, we're gonna have to put more people, maybe teacher assistants on that.
Yeah, we've tried posting on Indeed, and it has not been fruitful yet. So.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right. We had one for you. Patty, you did a great job. You and your zipped file.
Actually, that was Matt and Alan.
Wow, okay.
Well,
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Alan.
Great reading. Thanks, Patty.
Sorry. You took credit for her big salad. I should have done that. All right, future topics. We do have one, save the date for November 18th to the 20th. We're going to have the Triple I conference And housing and registration opens up June 6th. The Hyatt does book up quickly, so if you're interested in staying at that specific hotel, please let Patty know if you are interested, and she will be happy to sign us up. And the other future topic is Superintendent Evals. It's called Super Eval, and that is the superintendent evaluation system that we're going to be looking at. Jody and I will probably end up meeting with, I think his name is Brian.
Brian, yeah.
We'll do that first and then probably bring it to the board. But that is still on for a future topic. Does anybody else have a future topic for the board to consider? Okey doke. That brings us then to visitors' comments. Would anyone like to make a comment? All right, we will take a short break and the board will be going to closed session for the matters of personnel, students, and sale of property. The board will be taking action upon exit of closed session. So let's take a break for 8 minutes. Let's come back at 8 o'clock sharp.
More or less when Ben is ready is better.
Ben, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 administration compensation package as presented? Moved by Fiorito.
Second.
Second by Friedland.
Grimpy,
Yes.
Friedland,
Yes.
Johnson,
No.
Stolzer, yes. Fiorito,
Yes.
Camardo,
No.
Ronstadt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 administration support staff compensation as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Fiorito, second by Grimpy.
Stolzer, yes. Grimpy,
Yes.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Johnson,
No.
Friedland,
Yes.
Ronstadt,
Yes.
Camardo.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, board recap. I have two things for board recap. Number one, give Patty your $50 before you leave, please. Or make an arrangement with Patty to give her $50. Secondly, there was a note to remind board members to have questions in by the Monday noon before our board meeting. So any questions for tonight's meeting were due yesterday at noon. So let's try to remember that for future meetings, please. And then can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Friedland, second by Fiorito.
Friedland,
Yes.
Grimpy,
Yes.
Camardo. Yes. Fiorito. Yes. Stolzer, yes. Ronstadt,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.
We're adjourned at 8:47 PM. Next meeting is June 14th, 2022. Be there or be square.